What's up, everybody? Shady's on Broadway here. Let's get another nice little casual auto game going. Hope you guys been doing well. I've been doing quite decently myself. Still having some minor health issues, health things going on. So I was just checking behind me because I just realized I moved some stuff. I don't have a green screen quite yet. That might be on the to-do list. But yeah, so we're placing in the third position here. Should be a pretty fun board. My elo did drop a little bit since the last video. Had a couple losses in between. One of which I do have recorded. I might upload. But yeah, of course, as always, we're just trying to do better, get our reps in. Have something that I can show to you guys to upload to the channel. And as always, do let me know what you think down below. Really do appreciate the support. Coming off just straight off a work shift, so energy levels might be a little bit low right now, but still trying to figure out if it's better for me to do these right when I wake up or right after a shift, because those tend to be, ironically enough, the best times for me to play, but maybe not necessarily the best energy level. But doing it on a day off currently is not an option, just because I'll be working for the next 5-6 days straight while I plan for the upcoming trip that I'm going on. But I talked about that in the video I didn't upload, so I won't re-bring it up for now. But maybe a sneak peek if I end up uploading these in the wrong order. But yeah, like I said, hope you guys are doing well, and this should be a fun game, so let's just jump right into it. We see green place on the 6-5-10. Pretty strong pick. And then we see 5-9-10 go in second. So you would ask me what I should take in the third position. So, a couple of options. I do believe that the correct sequence of play is always going to be the 10-8-3. Now, I will explain this briefly. My idea here is that yes, 8-4-3 is technically better production, and you do get double OR, and there is a good chance that we end up with the 6-4-3 on the way back. But I don't like the doubled up 4s and 3s, even though it is coordinated on 4 and 3. The second reason I say this is that 10 and 3 wood give you 5 pips of wood production. And the way I count that, it's just the dots underneath. Whereas getting on the 6 brick would be 5 pips of brick production. So it does balance your wood brick ratio nicely. Second reason is you have 2 3-to-1 ports. We also have to look at our outs. Now, whereas the wheat is pretty rare on this board, considering neither first nor second took it, I don't believe that fourth pick will lock us out of wheat. We should either consistently get 6-4-3 or we'll get 5-3-8. In either option, I am happy because we get the classic or wheat sheep, and we could either get coordinated 8s. Again, there was the option of coordinated 4 if we wanted to take that, but I don't really like it. And again, the other nice thing too is that if you do a road settlement, let's say on the 10 here, and city this spot later, your 10 then becomes a free card. Whereas traditionally you would prefer to do the road settle on the 8 here to double up on the strong OR. There may be a time where you feel necessary to take the 10 3-to-1. So, as I predicted, we do end up with a wheat spot left. And even though third is not necessarily the best position, it does show you why it's pretty strong. Because as third, you only need to predict what one person is going to do. And there you kind of know that red is not going to take all wheat and a little bit of sheep and brick. So it was a pretty safe pick by us. And because the sheep port is essentially worthless, for us at least, and the wheat port we're not really going to be contesting, getting a 3-to-1 becomes ever more important. And the risk with the 8-4-3, although not extremely likely, is that 8-10 could be selected, or alternatively you could have a challenge on that side of the board if someone places there. So we do see the 6-9-12 placed by white there, which I think is correct with what's remaining on the board. And now green has a tough decision to make because they kind of find themselves a little bit locked out. Now, again, this is where I don't think they would take 8-10, but because of the way we've defensively placed this board, they can't do that anyway. So now they're just trying to figure out a spot that they can just get on for production, which is kind of why I don't necessarily think... Nope. Yeah, so Red just asked me if I'm challenging the wheat port. I don't want the wheat port. Not that I don't think it has merit, but we're on doubled threes, and we're not going to be porting our wheat with this setup. If we do take it as like a non-bind or whatever, it would only be because Red has gotten incredibly strong and we have to retract it. So here, so classic example, Green is forced to take the 8-4 and point probably right, or I mean, pointing in's not bad either, because it's the only decent remaining spot on the board for sheer production value. They do also have the chance to get to the OR port. Now the reason, if I go 8-4-3 there and point up, they go 8-10 and point up as well. So they're then contesting my now only 3-1 port, leaving me with only the wood port. So just to showcase how little decisions like that can strongly influence it, because now even if I lose this race with white, what's white's last card? Oh yeah, I'm definitely hitting white there, I think. Yep. I was gonna say, now even if I lose that card, it's not as big of a deal, or lose that port, excuse me. The reason I don't contest white here, even though I think it's very easy for me to win that race, is that I don't really want to make an enemy right now. Generally speaking, with or wheat sheep setups like this, or actually I don't even know if you could define it as or wheat sheep, because I don't make sheep and we are very spaced apart. But I was about to say, traditionally you only need 2 settlement spots to win a game. 2 expansion spots, to clarify. That 8 rolling kind of sucks because I don't get my ore, and that would have possibly given us an action. Let's see if white revenge robs, but I do want to note that I'm not racing them there. So that's the other thing, is that by not pointing the road there, they're less they have less incentive to rob from us. But we're going to be grabbing the 8 really quickly, because that'll help our production. And then we do make a lot of wood and brick, but we also kind of made a like a promise non-binding kind of thing to not challenge wheat port. But that's not something we have to... it is something we should honor, but it is something you can take back at any time. It is a word basis thing. The main risk associated with that, though, is that we will be heavily targeted by red if you take that deal back. So it's important to put yourself in a winning setup before you kind of go back on those kind of deals. But it looks like they're going to take it anyway. I'm hoping they don't cut through, but yeah, good play by them. Oh, they leave it hanging though, so you could cut it if you wanted to. But yeah, so we are going to make a lot of wood brick. I really, like I said earlier, the sheep port is worthless unless we pull a monopoly and get into sheep, but there's not even really a lot of sheep on the board to steal. But it's not terrible as a settlement spot because it gives us more brick to go with the wood. So, of course, we're always going to try to trade first to get a sheep. And the reason being is we're probably just going to take a development card with our current hand. And in fact, I can take 2. I could take a city, but I want to clarify that we don't want to pace too hard right now. And what I mean by that is we're already currently blocked. If we drop a city there, when other players have dev cards already on the table, it puts you in kind of like a tighter position, is what I would say. I'm going to ask for any second card. I put the ball in his court for the second card. Oh, he doesn't have that. Why am I doing that? Correct. That's what I was trying to offer. There you go. Sorry, that was weird with the amount of trades popped up. I think he's trying to get the settlement. But yeah, so I mean, yeah, most people would take the dev there. I'm or take the city there. I'm more interested in the knights for pacing purposes. Now, I only say that, and again, I want to stress this as importance because there are a lot of people that buy too many devs, and everybody makes mistakes. And I'm not a by any means like a exceptional player. I would say I do that sometimes as well, where I buy too many cards where I should city, or I city when I should be buying cards. But the reason is you have to have a form to defend yourself. If you drop a city on this 8 10 3 and these other players are holding knights, or they roll a 7 naturally and just hit your 8, you get completely paralyzed. So the flexibility of having the knights or other actionable cards in your hand is really big. And again, I only make this exception when you have a monopoly or when you have a setup that produces a lot of ore on its own. And the reason why that's important, I'm going to drop the city now though, but we'll finish up that train of thought in a little bit. But anyway, but the reason why it was important for me to get these 2 knights first is because now if I'm hit with the robber, which I am current leader, I can defend myself immediately and hit someone else with the knight. And the reason why you don't play the knight here is it's not on a spot that drastically harms our game. So I would rather wait for a 7 or something to roll before revealing these knights that early. I'm going to ask for a random second card because I don't know what his second card is. Oh, he's accepting the 1/1. Then you don't get the settlement, buddy. I only have the 1 brick in my hand. Oof. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I get it, but you're not that far behind me now either. But that's a perfect example. He uses the Year of Plenty to city because he makes a lot less ore. For players that don't make a lot of ore wheat or don't make ore at all, you have to use Year of Plenty's, monos, and you have to prioritize them for cities. I've seen way too many people use those cards to just get settlements down. In our situation, it doesn't really matter because we do produce so much ore. We're going to get double robbed here. That's annoying. Probably goes to the 3 if I had to guess, or the 4. But yeah. I think that's an important thing to recognize, is when to city versus when to pop. Now I am going to go ahead and play my knight, and I'm going to grab a card from red here just to get it off of us. Hopefully these 7s stop rolling as much as they have been. 2 sheep now in red's hand. That's interesting, because we're always going to be dying for sheep. And I'm kind of surprised we haven't been hitting more wood rolls, to be honest with you. I mean, 3's not exceptionally high or anything, but the reason why it's cool is we have potential to double play. Oh man, of course he rolls nat 7. That forces us to play another knight. But I was about to say, it does give us the flexibility of possible double play, because we make a lot of wood brick. I mean, nobody really has the space for long term outside of red, but red doesn't really produce the card types for it. So I'm going to hit red though, because it's 2 out of 3 for a sheep, and sheep is just really hard for us to come by. But there you go. So I just showed you guys, if I didn't have those 2 knights and I just dropped the city earlier, we would have been pinned on this 8 and we wouldn't have had this 6 ore in our hand. So just again, demonstrating the power there of having my ore hex open and their ore hex block, because the 8 here is a very dominative number. It takes a lot of precedent on the board as far as blocks. So we're not really concerned about green at all. Like I said, their game is really, really slow. Traditionally here, I would love to do a ore for wheat with red, because they have 2 wheat, but they probably ask for 2 cards, which is fine. I think what I'm going to do instead, I could port the brick for a wheat, but I'm actually going to be porting the ore for the wheat. And I'm going to be taking a dev card. Reason there is because if I roll into a wood roll, I want to give myself the flexibility to use the brick, as opposed to porting the brick there and leaving my hand flooded with ore. Also because red stealing a brick from me is a much better scenario for me than them stealing the ore, which they do get it anyway. But the concept there is that they need the ore to buy the dev card to keep me pinned. And there you go, you guys see an 8. Whereas if I keep the brick as like a dead card, but also flexible with a wood roll, there is a chance that they steal that instead and don't get the development card. And I pull the wheat out of their hand, which is really beautiful. And in the same vein, I'm actually going to do the same exact thing and port the ore again for the sheep, which leaves my hand with only brick. And actually, what I do... it's kind of bad. Like, I could 3-1 the brick and take a wood and drop the road here, but I'm not going to do that, even though they probably just rob a brick. Yeah, or they roll nat 7. So they don't have a knight, but of course they roll nat 7. Yeah, the amount of 7s rolling, and then we pull 4 knights in a row, which you usually want to complain about, but in this case I actually do need the knights. And I think we've only seen 1 Year of Plenty out of the action cards played. So good information is that the dev deck is pretty unexplored and pretty hot. Considering there's roughly now 10, excuse me, what am I saying? There's roughly 9 unplayed knights, and then 1 played action card, and 1 unconfirmed. Yep, no woodmen. Yeah, and they're both on 10s too. Ooh, yeah, see, he uses the Year of Plenty to settle pop. It's a little scuffed. I think as red there, I prefer to... and then there's another 8 block. Dang it. As red there, I prefer to use the Year of Plenty to get my second city on 853. So I think that's going to cost them in long term, especially when the odds of pulling a knight versus non-knight there is roughly 50-50. Pulling a knight in their position is really, really bad. But I will go ahead and take the opportunity to play the knight and get it off of us. I would really love to get a sheep here, but I don't think... I mean, green has decent odds, but I really cannot justify robbing green right now. I'd rather try to trade with them. That's something that a more aggressive player might do. So I'm going to try to propose a trade with green here, because they need wheat. But they might not even... Okay, I'll try 2-1 then. I'm willing to be flexible, man. I know you got one, Greeny. Greeny Bobini. Yep. He snipes that 2-1, and we're just going to take the real quick, easy road settle. And the reason being is we don't need to buy any more dev cards. I bought the other knight there to get it off my 8, but now that we know that red has a non-knight, at this point, there is a strong chance that we close this out with a double play. Because army is not happening. Somebody would have to get 5 played knights to beat that. So we could keep popping because, you know, we could get action cards, we could get VPs. But the risk with non-calculated pops, or excuse me, poorly calculated pops, is that you're giving yourself, the way you're winning the game is you're essentially basing it on luck and what you pull. And I'm very much a person that does not like the dev card strategy, and I use dev cards more as a tool than as a window, if that kind of makes sense. Maybe that I'll have to think of a way to reframe that sentence, but I prefer to use devs as a tool and not a crutch, like a lot of players do. Not gonna name names, but yeah. So the idea here is that I think I can rush the longest road and then win with a settlement somewhere on the left side here and not over here, because that can be contested. Now, because we're going to be gang robbed consistently on these spots, we might have to buy a card or 2 to defend ourselves. If we get knight, great, we unblock. If we don't, then we maybe pull an action card that makes that easier. I take any 2-1 trades here that are offered, because at this stage of the game, we are significantly ahead, and I don't see us realistically losing this game. Because red has not really been giving much information, we can safely assume that the development card is a VP. There is a chance that it could be something else, but I would wager that it's a VP on the premise that there has been no Monopoly played. So they opt to get City, so they're probably on 7. Red could potentially take Road as well and go to 9 and have Open Settle. But at this point of the game, to close it out, we just need Road, and a settlement, which is pretty easy. Unfortunately, the 10 is blocked, but another way we can win is with a City and taking the longest road, which is as simple as an 8 rolling and then a wood roll. So we do see a 7. It more likely moves to the 8 again. We do probably catch a hit. Oh, damn it. Unfortunately, they take the wood. I didn't want them to take the wood there. Any other card would have been better. Okay, we roll the 7 back. I know it's kind of crappy, but I think I want to steal from green here. No, I can't really justify that, though, can I? I have to hit red. No, actually, this kind of accomplishes what I want to accomplish without coming across as mean. But they roll nat 7 anyway. It doesn't matter. I was going to say, though, by putting it on the 8, it is the best block to hit red while giving me a convenient excuse to rob green. But with the 8 pin, they know that's my action number. That's for any 2 cards. Oh, they just get the 1/1. Yeah, I do believe that red is on 7 Open Settle, and they can win with a couple of roads as well, but they don't make the materials for it. They could be holding Road Builder as well, but if it's not a VP, then they have to get that other VP elsewhere. But what we're really waiting for is just a wood roll into an ore roll on the 8. So trying to be sneaky about it, and that's why you don't extend it this way, because it's a lot harder for these 2 players to come around here. Yep, we don't mind. They can build as many points as they want. We just have to be patient and wait for our dice rolls. Like that. 3 is a perfect roll for us. So we now have the road in hand, but now we have to get either the settlement or the city. Now I think red is on 8 points. This is pretty scary. And they keep hitting that 11 consistently. 2 in a row. That's crazy. 3 in a row. If they win off that, that's going to be a little off-putting. I am going to just take the road, though, because there's a chance that they could sneak it otherwise. If I had Monopoly, that would have been perfect. Well, it does with that. Yeah, he's going to minimum 9 here. So he has a VP. I mean, I know he only has the wheat port, but he has minimum settlement. He might even have settlement pop with 13 cards. And actually, there's decent odds that he just wins with settlement VP. Because his hand is 4 wheat, 6 sheep, and another 3 wheat. So he turns the 2 wheat into ore, or he just settles, yeah. That turns 4 wheat, right? So that leaves him with enough to pull for it, I think. Yeah. Oh my god, dude. That's the only sequence that happens to me. It's the only sequence we lose there. He pulls 2 Year of Plenties and 2 VPs out of 4 cards. You know how I talked about how simple and how easy this game would be to close out? This is exactly the kind of trash. Like 11 sixes, 3 in a row, and then you roll into your best number on your turn. With mine being hit. With my winning roll being hit. Oh... Yeah, this was not a well-played game by anybody, and I think we played this really well, but the fact that you roll 3 11s in a row there, I'm not great at math. Somebody probably knows the stats better than I do. But the only sequence in which he wins on this turn is not only does he have to pull... By the way, him pulling the VP there's good odds for it, but it's not great odds, right? Because there's 4 VPs, there's 9 knights, so that's what? 13, 14, 15, 16. So his odds of pulling there are 25%. So in order for red to win on that turn, he has to not only roll into minimum 13 cards, which is a 4 dice roll equivalent of 8, 3, 8, 11, or like 11, 11, 8, 8, like we just saw. And then he has to win the 25% chance to pull the victory point card there, which, yeah, those odds are not great split, and they're definitely not great paired together. So congratulations to red for that. But this is traditionally a game where we dominate with double win con very easily, if the dice rolls aren't as skewed as this. Like, look at the 10 and the 4, for instance, both of which probably being our most impactful numbers. And yes, the 3 did roll more often than it should have. I'm not going to say otherwise. But the thing is with that, if the 10s and 3s and 4s are, let's say, 2 more, 2 less hit each, that just provides us a lot more opportunities there. But, you know, I can't complain. That happens. It really, really does. And we pull four knights. And oh, but I felt like we got hit quite a bit. We obviously deserved to, because, again, this was a steamrolled game, or at least so I thought. But you pull 4 non-knights in a row, and you get rolls like that, and that's what you get. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this pretty quick one. Oh, man, that 11 just whooped my butt. All right. You guys have a great night. Take care.